I'm sure I'm a lot like a lot of you guys out there. I self-taught myself basically everything I know about photography. I watched hours upon hours of YouTube videos, and I still watch a lot of YouTube videos about photography today. I've read books, I've listened to audiobooks, and most importantly, I've looked at what other photographers have done. It's not easy. I have a full-time job, I have a family. I don't have time to enroll in a local, community college course or whatever to learn how to do photography. I wish I had time to do like photography workshops. I'm trying to arrange it so that I can have some more time maybe available for that. But, I run a business, I run a couple of businesses, I have a family, and it's hard to get that time that you need to really, be able to study a subject like photography. However, those informal methods of learning, that's all you need. I didn't know how to work Photoshop. I had never been in Lightroom. I didn't know anything about these programs when I first started out in photography. One of the biggest and most important pieces that I've learned about photography is editing. It's not just how to do any specific thing with editing, but I'm going to tell you in just a minute exactly what about editing can take your photography to a whole nother level. You can absolutely separate yourself from beginning photography, that amateur style looking photo, to a point where no one can actually see the difference between your work and a professional's work. Editing a photograph is probably half of the picture. And so, snapping it, getting the right settings, and, being there, that's half of it. But editing, that's another half, because you can take a great photo and destroy it, absolutely kill it with your editing. You can take an average photo and turn it into an absolute masterpiece. Typically, though, there's this one step that's overlooked that you really need to do before you can take an average photo and turn it into an absolute stunner. It's a very simple step. The first step is to go ahead and edit the photo as you would any other time. Whatever program you're using, it doesn't really matter. Get into your program, do your edits, try to get that photo just how you want it, and then save it and leave it alone. I know you're like, what is special about that? So edit it like normal and then save it? I didn't say export it. I said save it. Leave it there at the bottom of your Lightroom catalog, and then let me show you exactly what you're going to do to raise the level of that photo to a whole nother level.
What you're looking at here is two versions of the exact same photo. In other words, the photo on the left, I did my original edit on. So I don't know, it was 3 weeks or so after I got back from the trip. I went ahead and processed it through Lightroom. I don't think I did anything in Photoshop. And then I saved it to my final catalog, which was a mistake, because it's been about a month and a half or so since I did the edit. And so when I was scrolling back through the photos, I went ahead and just started tweaking the edit a little bit. I made the darks a little darker. I kind of wanted to make the Angel's Landing rock the focal piece of this photo. And what I saw originally was everything was just a little too bright. And really what you want to do with photography is draw the eye in to the subject. Same thing on this piece from Zion. You can see the photo on the left is the original edit, and the photo on the right is the final edit that I did about a month later. And what I did, I took the brightness down and I kind of cropped in a little closer. I wanted to make the darks a little darker and the lights a little lighter, and guide the eye away from the scenery that is just around. It's not the focal point of the photo. The big mountain there in the middle is the focal point, with the cloud just kind of, showing the moodiness of the photo. And with the original photo on the left, everything was just a little too bright. There was too many things that were taking the attention away from the subject of the photo. So by doing what I did, and I could probably do more to this, like I said, you can go back multiple times, but I definitely think the photo on the right is a lot better. And here's one that is a dramatic difference, and I am so glad I went back and looked at this photo. The one on the left, again, is the original edit, and the one on the right is the final photograph. And you can see what I did. Same kind of thing. I, added more contrast, but I didn't do it with the contrast slider. I did it with the curves. I did it with the exposure slider. I took the exposure slider down and then took the white slider up. I added more blacks and I added more shadows, and I worked a lot on this locally. So, the mountains and the sky, I was doing different edits and different adjustments with brushes and gradients and things like that for different areas of the photo. And again, I darkened the field, the foreground, because that's not the subject. It's just there as an interesting kind of thing to guide your eye from one scene and transition to the main part of the photo, which is the mountains and the beautiful sky. Now, what I have been doing recently now is I've found, and this is where you can take things that you learn and start applying them. On my moody photos, I can take the S-curve that I create. What I can do is I can take the dark point all the way on the left side and just raise it up just a little bit, and it adds that kind of moodiness to the photo. I really like that, and it does it just in the shadows. So a photo like this was perfect for it. Now here you can see another photo at Zion, and this one I was a little bit same thing, I guess. The foreground was just too grabbing. It just drew your attention to the wrong subject. And really what you want to do is you want to guide the viewer's eye to the main point of the photograph, no matter what the photograph is. And in this case, the main subject of the photograph is the waterfall. So what I did is, again, darken the darks. I took the highlights slider down a little bit. I took the exposure slider down a little bit, made it the blacks a little blacker, and then I took the white slider, moved it up, and then I did local adjustments on the yellow trees. And what I kind of did was made the area of the yellow trees a little lighter, and you can see it now that I'm telling you about it, and guided it up almost like a triangle to the waterfall. And so I left the waterfall and the areas of the trees that I really wanted to highlight, I left those a little bolder, a little brighter, and so that they grab your attention and say, here, look at me, look at the waterfall, because that's the subject. And you can, now that I mentioned it, you can see it, right? You can see the darkness on the sides. Now here's another one, and this one, again, it's darkening down the areas of the photo that aren't the subject. And this photo is a little bit more different because it's more of a grand, scene. There's not one specific part of this photo that it could be the subject. The waterfall is obviously the main part of the photo, but the foreground is pretty with the water, and then the transition into the shrubs and things guiding you up into the waterfall. And I struggle with some of these scenes sometimes with my colors, and what I found is I like the deep, dark, heavy greens. And I like my browns to be a little bit more on the woodsy brown side rather than the lighter, muddy water type side. And you can see the photo on the left was the original edit. You can see everything's a little bit lighter in color as far as mainly the browns and some to do with the greens. But on the right side, I darkened things down and I made those colors, these are things that you see a little better after you've had some time away from the photo. When you come back to it, you're like, what was I thinking? The colors are way off, or I got the thing way too bright. And I've learned this over time, and what I'm finding is I'm trying to create a backlog of photos that I'm not releasing so that I can spend more time doing multiple edits on photos. So before they get saved to my main file, where I store everything that is complete, done with, I'm ready to publish. Before they go into that file, they stay right on my Lightroom catalog, and I just scroll back through them. Every time I'm editing photos, I'll do whatever photos I intentionally want to get done in that session. But then I always try to fit 2, maybe 3 more additional photos from older photos, and I'll just scroll through the catalog and just kind of make adjustments as I see fit. And what I'll do is I have a 2-monitor system. I'll compare the original edit to the edit I'm currently making on Lightroom. The original will be on one monitor, and the edit that I'm currently doing will be on the Lightroom screen on the other monitor, and that's where you can really see differences. Now, I know the differences didn't come through as much in this video as they are actually in real life. And that's, due to the compression of YouTube and the fact that it's a video. But trust me, the differences, subtle differences sometimes are what can make and break a photo.
Photography is all about patience. And patience is one huge key when staying on site to get that perfect shot with the perfect light. Or if you're in wildlife photography, waiting for that perfect moment when whatever animal it is you're shooting just, gets into that perfect position that you can snap the photo. It's all about patience. It really is. It's taking your creativity and just kind of molding it together with patience to come up with, a work of art. And I'm going to be honest with you, I had absolutely zero patience before my daughter was born. I always say God gave me my daughter to teach me patience. And, there's so much truth to that. But photography now is coming as a result of the patience that I've built. Because without patience, you can't be a good photographer. It just can't happen. You have to have patience. And patience has to come in the editing process as well. When you're taking your photograph, you're editing it, you need to put it away because you're usually so just kind of brainwashed from all the editing that you've done, whether it's multiple photos or a whole bunch of photos, or even if it's just one photo, but for a half an hour. Your brain just kind of turns to mush and you can kind of lose track of those details. You can kind of not see things maybe correctly. And when you come back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, a year, when you come back and you look at that photo again, I guarantee you will say, whoa, let me see if I can work with this a little more. And then you'll get that photo, really, really good. And sometimes if you're unsure about a photo, you maybe need to wait 2 or 3 times, hit it, come back in 2 weeks, hit it, come back in 2 weeks, and just give it time. Give it the patience that it needs. I really hope you got something out of the video. My secret with editing is not really a secret. It's just something that people don't talk about enough. And I just wanted to help you guys out there understand probably my most beneficial tip when it comes to editing your photography to get the absolute best photograph you can possibly get. Do me a great big favor, guys. Share the video with your family and friends if you enjoyed it. That'll help me grow the channel. It'll mean the world to me. Also, hit that like button down below, and I can't wait to see you on the next video.